Loves, welcome back to the channel Style by C. Today's tutorial will be on how to recreate this beautiful cut together or boho jumpsuit. Do subscribe to the channel, share to friends, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. I'm going to be using this point as my startup line here. And I'm going to go ahead and make a bow there. Okay, now I'm going to be marking about 1.5 to 2 inches at the top of this area. Let's use 2 inches for here. This is for my casing at the upper part of our dress. Okay, so that is why I'm making this casing, please. So I'll go ahead and mark it. So now I'm going to place my tape at -5. Please ignore this first line for now. This is where we're going to be having a casing when you fold. Okay, so this is from -5, which is our startup line. Then from there you're going to mark your chest line. Mine is at 8.5 inches. I'll go ahead and make a rule across. Yeah, then from there I'm going to mark my waist measurement. My waist measurement is at 16 inches. You make a rule across this way. See, placing your tape there. The next thing you're going to go ahead and make a rule across is your hip measurement. My hip measurement is at 24 inches. Okay, and this is my 24 inches. So to get to your, so guys, the next thing I'm going to do now is, from this is our hip line, the next thing to mark is our horizontal measurements for our crotch depth. Okay, so you divide your hip measurement by 4 to get your crotch depth. So our normal crotch depth is 10.5 inches when you add 1 to your hip measurements. All right, but because this is a jumpsuit, mine is going to be 11 inches. So from the waistline, which is here, I'm going to mark my 11.5 inches, which falls here. But because this is a free size jumpsuit, I'm going to be adding about 5 to 6 inches to it. So from this point now, I'll go ahead and mark extra 6 inches. So please ignore this line. Okay, so this is our crotch depth, this is our hip measurement, and this is our crotch depth. All right, so having done this now, the next thing to do now is to go ahead and insert your body measurement. So this is my chest line. I'm going to insert my bust measurement, quarter of my bust measurement, plus 5 inches seam allowance. Now this is where I have it here. Then I'm going to come to my waistline. I'm going to insert my waist measurement, and I'm going to also add 5 inches seam allowance. Then on my hip measurement, I also do the same thing there. So this is my hip measurement. I have 9.5 inches for my hip. I also go ahead and add extra 5 inches to it. So when I'm done with this, I'll connect the points together. So this is from my hip to my waist here, then from my waist to my bust line here. Okay, now I'm going to adjust this fabric. Sorry. So I said ignore this, please. This is my hip and this is the crotch line. So the measurement I have on my hip measurement, I'm going to measure it. That is my hip measurement plus the extra 5 inches. I have 14.5 inches. I'll come to the bottom of my, that's the hem of the jumpsuit, and I'm going to mark my 14.5 inches. And this is it here. So from here now, I'm going to be connecting it to my hip measurements at this point. And this is what we have. Alright. So guys, you're going to come to, this is our crotch depth. Alright, so from this crotch depth now, what you have to do is you're going to mark 1.5 inches inwards. At this point, 1.5 inches, come down. So you're going to continue marking this till you get to the hem of your dress. So this is my 1.5 inches that I have. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be making an arc here, so it is to blend in very well. So this is what you have to do. Go ahead and make your arc at this point. Okay. Now I'm still adjusting my fabric to the upper parts. So guys, now we're going to be working on this chest line area. Alright, so this is our startup line. So what you have to do is you measure around what you have your shoulder, that is from the back of your shoulder to the front of your shoulder, or from the front of your shoulder, just like you see me doing. So I have 40 inches. Okay, so the 40 inches you're going to be dividing it by 4. So when I divide mine by 4, sorry, let me remeasure it. Yeah, I have 14 inches. So when you divide the 14 inches by 4, you're going to be having 10 inches. So you go to your startup line, mark your 40, mark quarter of your 14 inches. So mine is 10 inches. I'm marking it here, plus 1 inch seam allowance. Okay, and this is what I have here. Now coming to this line, the extra 2 inches I marked for folding or for hemming, I'm going to add 1 inch to what I have here. So I have 11 inches here. So I'm going to be adding 1 to it, making it 12 inches. And this is it here. So from here now, I'm going to make a curve, a straight through connecting to the 12 inches. This is it. Then from here, I'll make a curve to my chest line this way. And this is what I have. So when I fold this or hem this particular part in, it's going to blend very, very well. There's not going to be shortage. So guys, the next thing to do now is to go ahead and cut this piece out. So guys, before I cut out this crotch depth area, I'm going to be using this piece to cut out another piece for my back. The next thing I went ahead to do was to place that piece on another fabric to cut out for my back. Okay, so what I went ahead now to do was to cut out the 1.5 inches I have around the crotch area. Alright, so that's what I went ahead to trim off at this point. So guys, this is what we have. And when you open it up, this is what it's going to be looking like. So guys, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be stitching on the center where we have our crotch line. Okay, so please put the front and the back piece together. Go ahead and run a stitch from here. You get to this end, this center end, then you also get to the bottom part of it. All right, so when you're done, you also do the stitching to the side. Okay, so I'm going to be using half inch on both sides to stitch. You can decide to use 1 inch to stitch. Okay, so stitch the side and stitch this center opening. Now after stitching on the side of my trouser, this is what we have. All right, so I left some spacing for my pockets in because I'm going to be having a pocket to this. So this pocket started from my waist, then I left about 7 inches from my waist, then you leave about 7 inches space for your pocket. All right, so this is the opening where I'm going to insert my pockets at this area. Okay, so guys, this is for the fixing of my pockets. All right, so now this is my pocket, this is for the other parts. I fixed one already. So what you have to do is where you have your opening, open it into two this way, like this. Then go ahead and attach one side of the pocket to this area, then pick up this side and attach this side of the pocket to this other side of your dress, of your jumpsuit, okay, to this other piece. then run a stitch on it. That's all. So, and the next thing about the pockets is I stitched the bottom part of it, the upper and the bottom part of it, leaving only the spacing open. So after that, the next thing I went ahead to do was to hem the bottom of our jumpsuit. Alright, so go ahead and fold the bottom part of your jumpsuit. Having done that, now the next part to work on is on the armhole area. So go ahead and hem your armhole. Go ahead and fold in your armhole. You can decide to fold once, then fold twice, or you can decide to use an interlock if you have. Weave it, then go ahead and fold it. Alright. So after folding our armhole, hemming our armhole area, the next thing you have to go ahead to do is you're going to go ahead and close up the stitches, the upper parts. Remember, we left about 2 inches for folding of the upper part of our dress. So this is it. I've gone ahead to do that. So you go ahead and fold in your own. Alright. So you do this for the 2 parts, this side and this other side. So the next step we're taking now is to cut out our adjustable strings, the drawstrings that is going to be on the neck area. Alright, so I actually used 45 inches initially, 45 to 46 inches initially, but it was not enough. So I went ahead to cut out 16 inches, which is the one I used for this video, like the one that fits in very well. So cut out length of 16 inches, then the width is going to be 2 inches. All right, so having cut it out, you go ahead to fold it. So this is what it looks like. Okay, so you're going to pick it this way. So now I'm going to go ahead and fold it inwards like this. You're going to fold half an inch here, half an inch here, like this, then fold it. So guys, the next step we're taking now is we're going to be passing our drawstring or draw strap, yeah, in between the casing we made earlier. All right, so I'm going to be using this set pin, then I'm going to pass it in between. So after drawing this out from here, I'm also going to pass it inside this one. So guys, when you are done passing your drawstring in between your casing, the next thing to do is to stitch on it.